Earlier this year, I did a video about the FLSA, the Fair Labor Standards Act, a federal law that mandates overtime and minimum wage throughout the United States. While federal law normally trumps state law, the FLSA explicitly allows states to adopt more restrictive rules to benefit workers, and Arizona adopted an overtime rule that specifically protects cops' rights to overtime. In this week's video, we'll look at how Arizona law, ARS 23392, impacts law enforcement and applies additional restrictions on overtime pay for police officers. I'm Steve Serbalik, and I'm a panel attorney with AZCOPS. The FLSA, in Section 207K, allows employers of law enforcement, fire, and detention center personnel to set up alternative work periods for their employees. When these work periods are set up by an agency consistent with the FLSA rules, they often lead to work weeks that exceed 40 hours that don't require overtime to be paid out. Fortunately, Arizona has additional legal protections to ensure that state law enforcement agencies pay overtime. ARS 23392 states, subject to subsection B of this section, any person engaged in law enforcement activities shall be compensated for each hour worked in excess of 40 hours in 1 week, unless otherwise agreed to by the employer and the person engaged in law enforcement activities at the option of the employer at the following rates: 1.5 times the regular rate at which the person is employed, or 1.5 hours of compensatory time off for each hour worked if by the person's job classification overtime compensation is mandated by federal law. As I've covered in other videos, those engaged in law enforcement activities are virtually always covered employees requiring overtime under federal law. In other words, in most circumstances, an Arizona law enforcement agency must pay officers time and a half after 40 hours worked in a work week, absent any other agreement between the employer and the employee or the employee's representative organization. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section down below. As always, please like this video and remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. It really helps out my channel. Be on the lookout for future videos. They come out every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Arizona time. I'm Steve Serbalik. Thanks for watching and stay safe out there.